Do you want to know what the best fat burning foods out there are? If so, stay tuned. This could be quite a surprise to you. These are the best fat burning foods. They don't fucking exist. That's right, there is no such thing as a fat burning food. Think about this from an ancestral perspective, or a survival mechanism. If you consumed a food and it actually burned more calories than you were consuming, why would you eat it in the first place? It would be completely pointless from an ancestral evolutionary perspective. Humans are not built to, foods aren't created on this earth to be negative calories. There is no such thing as a negative calorie food. Well, you may hear this something like, but then, a green veg is so low in calories, or this is so low in calories that the energy you use to create it, chop it up and all that kind of thing isn't even worth it in the first place. Well, that's bullshit. I'm sorry, but there is no such thing as a negative calorie food. They just don't exist. Complete nonsense, and just utter bullshit. But what I'm going to walk through are some of the best foods that you can consume to help fat loss and make the process easier. Let's get into them. Let's look at a couple of options here. So we've got proteins, carbs and fats. Now I have to stress, this is a very basic list. Now, the thing when it comes to fat loss and fat burning, making the process easier, is you want to be consuming more high volume foods that fill you up. So first and foremost, go into proteins. That is going to be your best bet. Lean meats, natural sources, things like yogurts, your Greek yogurts, maybe cottage cheese and things like that, the dairy side of things, those are going to help keep you fuller for longer. Things like whey protein and protein bars and things like that, yes, they are good quality sources of protein for the most part, but they're not going to be overly filling. Something like a shake as opposed to a chicken breast is going to make a big difference in terms of how full it actually keeps you. So something to consider. But when you're choosing protein sources, especially when it comes to fat loss, think about trying to consume one at each meal. It will keep you more satiated, it will keep you fuller for longer, which in turn is going to help preserve muscle mass as well by turning on protein synthesis, and also downstream benefits of just consuming more protein. It's things like, as I said, more satiation, turning on muscle protein synthesis, maintain it, and as much as that lean muscle mass you possibly can. Carbohydrates, higher volume the better. Veg, fruit, rice, pastas, potatoes and things like that as well. If you consume a lot of veg and a lot of fruits and things like that within your diet, you're going to have more food in your stomach. You're going to get a lot of food volume for not a lot of calories. So try and include some at each meal. Every single meal you should be trying to include maybe a couple of veg and fruit sources if you can. Something like a bit of fruit after the meal as well, something that's reasonably sweet. Going to help keep those cravings at bay also. When it comes to fat loss, fats should not be cut out. Anyone who tells you fats are bad for fat loss is talking utter nonsense. The problem with fats is, not the problem, but something to consider, is that fats are very high in calories for their volume. So you think about nut butters, or nuts for example, even avocado. You think about a teaspoon of peanut butter, it's not going to give you a lot of fullness, but there's quite a lot of calories in it. Like a teaspoon of peanut butter is probably maybe 150 odd calories. And you're not getting a lot of food for that. Think about how much fuller you'd be in 150 calories of chicken breast. So, but you should never cut out fats. I like to keep fats to a reasonably minimal level when I'm going to a fat loss phase, maybe somewhere around 40 to 50 grams per day. That's just me. I wouldn't tend to go any lower than that, especially if you're male. You have to keep them in for hormonal processes, digestion, all these different things as well. They are required for health. So never completely cut out fats. But look at ways you can include more of these higher volume carbohydrates, these protein sources. The more of these you can get in, the better you're going to go on and the more successful your fat loss process is going to be. None of these foods will inherently burn fat. You do not consume something and it then burns fat. That defeats the whole purpose of evolution. If you consumed a food and it burned energy, you would never consume it in the first place, thinking back again to ancestral times and things like that. So think about this when you're trying to piece together your fat loss program or your meal plan or whatever. If you haven't picked up my fat loss meal plan yet, go to the link in the description, it will be in there, completely free. I'm going to be walking you through all the nutrition mistakes I see most 9-to-5ers making as well, so make sure and go and pick that up if you haven't done so already. Also, if you're not done, if you have not watched the first videos in this Fat Loss Accelerator series, go back and watch them now. They'll be off to the side in a second or two. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. And if you haven't done so already, comment below with what video you would like to see next. We also do coaching programs here, online fitness coaching. If you want a guaranteed way to get fit, healthy and confident without eating the bland foods, all you have to do is comment "get fit" below and I'll see how I can best help. Or head over to Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever, drop me a message.